Hello everyone. Lockdown or not, life must go on. And what better way to do so is with some great music. Today, Niyogi Books in collaboration with Scroll.in and Oxford Bookstore presents this episode of Hashtag 3 Podcasts, wherein we invite a subject matter specialist to talk about their field of expertise. And today we are greatly honored to have with us Pandit Bickram Ghosh, who will be talking about and on percussion art. For those who don't know him yet, here is a brief introduction. Maestro Bickram Ghosh is one of India's greatest classical tabla players. He is revered globally for his dexterity on tabla as well as his pioneering efforts in experimental fusion music. His experimental style draws inspiration from his early training in Sarod as well as his mother's Gharana, Patiala Gharana of Hindustani classical music. He also draws inspiration from his detailed study with Mridangam Maestro Shankar. And on this note, let me present to you a scintillating video where Pandit Bickram Ghosh uses his body as an instrument of percussion art. Born to esteemed tabla artist Shankar Ghosh and vocalist Sanjukta Ghosh, and having grown up with a house full of global drums, fusion was a way forward for him. It was quite natural for him. He has collaborated with several great maestros of the world, including Pandit Ravi Shankar, George Harrison, Sufi musicians, and even the Mescal Jazz Unit. His new age rhythmscape is now in its second decade, and I'm sure it will continue to be a bestseller for the next several years. He has given and composed music for several feature films, including my favorite, Suni Tarapurwala's directed movie called The Little Zizu. He has more than 100 albums to his credit today. And so, here goes the interview. So, the first question is, what made you choose tabla as a medium of expression?
Well, that is one of the most obvious things in my life because I really didn't have much of a choice. My father was one of the greatest tabla maestros ever. Everybody knows him, the great Pandit Shankar Ghosh, who was one of the first few professional musicians ever from Bengal. Baba was a great influence and he was a huge star. And when I was growing up in pretty much through the 70s, I used to see the brilliance of the man. And I used to see also the fact that in my child's eye, I used to see like a halo around his head. He was a star. He was under the arc lights on the stage and playing brilliantly with all the great artists of that era, and his tabla solos and his music of the drums, the orchestra. So that was a huge influence, and I think that is undoubtedly why I chose to become a tabla player. And he taught me, and he left no stone unturned, so to say, so that I eventually became a tabla player, because he wanted to continue the legacy of tabla playing that he had started.
It is often believed that tabla is an instrument that originated in the Indian subcontinent. But the linguists tell us that the origin of the root word of tabla lies in the Persian language. How would you like to explain it?
Well, I would tend to agree with that. There isn't a huge amount of literature uh, on the history of the subject, because Indian music is primarily an oral tradition, and but from what we hear through legend and through hearsay, and what makes more sense is what you just said, that uh, the southern part of India was lesser influenced by uh, the Mughal Empire, and tabla in its present form is a few hundred years old, but not more than that. So I would say that yes, the the logical antecedent would be the Arabic Persian instrument called the tabl, T-A-B-L, and it was a two-piece drum. So yes, there seems to be a fair amount of logic to this theory, accepted by a great many tabla chroniclers, that the tabla indeed is what was the predecessor for the tabla. But there are other stories, nice stories, that there was a Pakawaj competition in a emperor's court, and one person lost, and he broke the drum, and he picked up one of the pieces and played it, and it still had a sound, and he exclaimed, "Toot gaya, tab bhi bola," and that's where the tabla formed through the breaking of the pakawaj into two. So, but personally, for me, this is one of my favorite stories. But it doesn't seem very probable. But the Arabic tabla is probably it.
Is there any particular gharana which influenced you the most, and why?
Well, of course, it is the Gharana that I belong to, that my father belonged to, the Farrukhabad Gharana. All the Gharanas are said to have derived from the central Delhi Gharana. But Farrukhabad is my lineage, and from Gyan Babu, my father's Guruji, mine as well, and my father, to me, it's been the Farrukhabad style of playing predominantly. But of course, nowadays we have influences from other gharanas, and I play a lot of other influences: Banaras, Punjab, Lucknow, and many tabla players do actually. They like to pick up from the other gharanas and incorporate them, especially during Sangat accompaniment.
How does tabla differ from mridangam or pakhavaj?
Well, of course, there's a big difference in the simple fact that the pakawaj or the mridanga were played horizontally. The faces are like this, uh, so you play them like this. And the tabla is a vertical drum, so you play it like this. So that's a huge difference. And both the mridangam and the pakawaj are known to be tuned to a lower octave, the right hand. And compared to the mridangam and the pakawaj, the left hand, the baya of the tabla, is more modulatory. The capacity of modulation is more, because the skin is looser, and you can kind of go on the baya. But you can't have that much of a resonance, or an as, as we say, from the mridangam left or from the pakawaj left. So, and other than that, there's a huge difference in the sahitya, in the literature of the subject, because tabla has a different kind of language, and mridangam, being a South Indian drum, is even more different, because it hails from the Carnatic music tradition. So yes, that could be subject for a conversation for a full day.
When Rhythmscape came out, I heard it over and over. Today, it is internationally famous. We know that you've played with maestros like Pandit Ravi Shankar and Bob Dylan. Would you like to share with us some of your experiences?
Well, yes, Rhythmscape has been an amazing journey, uh, almost 20 years now, and I am really happy with the way it has progressed from being a very new sound, which people were surprised, and the stores couldn't find a place to keep the CDs those days in the Planet M's and the music world. So, and then world music genre coming out and Rhythmscape getting a place, being on the chart for over 10 years. And the live performances is what has really given me the most pleasure over the years, continues to do so. And we improvise a lot, and there's a lot of new content and some wonderful musicians with me. So, yeah, Rhythmscape is a beautiful journey. And thank you for recognizing that. The great artists I have collaborated with, of course, Guruji Pandit Ravi Shankarji is foremost there, because what he gave me was, of course, a great understanding of music, but over and above, it was an understanding of life itself. Touring with him so many years, over a decade, seeing how he reacted to situations, people, how he conducted his concerts, and the many conversations we had, I think really honed me as a human being. It was really, really important for my growth. And of course, the music, it is out of this world what he gave me. I have also collaborated with George Harrison, not Bob Dylan. George Harrison, of course, I met through Guruji, Raviji. First, during the Chants of India project, which is a very famous album, where I did most of the percussions, all the tabla, bol padant, and also some singing. And then I played for George on his last album, posthumously released, Grammy nominated, Brainwashed. So I had the great honor of spending an entire day with him alone during the recording of that, and understanding how he saw life, which is a very, very big thing, because hearing that from a person like him did actually influence me a lot and change my perspective on life itself. There have been many, many collaborators, great, great artists I've had the good fortune of collaborating with, but the list is so long that it's impossible to encapsulate all of that. But yes, I must say this, that I'm really grateful for what life has offered me, and I do hope to collaborate more and more.
Now that all the live performances have come to a screeching halt, how are you expressing your creativity through the virtual world?
Well, I've always been very fond of the phrase, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Well, ever since just before the lockdown, actually, I preempted it, and I thought in my head that I must utilize this time creatively. So, yes, I've been practicing, uh, catching up on more hours of practice than I normally could because of my travel schedule. I have shot a whole lot of videos, an entire series called Out of the Box, which expresses my understanding of the subject of tabla and rhythm. And they've become quite popular, and people want me to do more even after the lockdown has been lifted. So that's been really exciting. I've also caught up on a certain amount of reading. I have kept myself busy exercising on a daily basis, meditating on a daily basis, so that I don't feel too suffocated. My body doesn't become full of sloth. So these are the most important things, and it's been a month already since I've been in the house, like most of you, in lockdown. It's not easy, but to keep the spirits alive, you have to see that your body is fit, and you must also keep being creative. So yeah, I've utilized it in a very creative and fulfilling way. So, but yes, I do hope that we get over this very soon, and we can all be free and enjoy life to the fullest. Hi friends, welcome to Bickram Ghosh's Out of the Box. Today's Out of the Box is a classical tabla out of the box feature. This is a Kaidam Gat that I'm going to play. And my father popularized it. It's a Farrukhabad composition. I have played it all my life. But what I'm going to present now is the composition which was originally in Teen Taal. I'm going to play it in 9 beats, breaking it 4.5 and 4.5. So the Kaidam Gat goes like this.
You are a role model to more than just a generation. 3 pointers for young budding musicians.
Well, thank you for the compliment. Yes, I do have definitely 3, maybe more points, but I'll stick to 3 here. The first point is there is no substitute for sincerity. If you want to be a musician, if you want to be an actor, you want to be anything pretty much in life successfully for a long period of time, you have to have sincerity and dedication. You must feel from within the need to study the craft, to understand it, and then to internalize it and then project it. That's the first pointer. The second pointer is ideally learn the craft. Find a guru, a teacher, a good institute, wherever. But learning the craft, whichever craft it is, always helps. If your training is solid, it will last you a lifetime. And then all the things that are buzzing in your head, you will know how to bring them out into your music, your craft, and then project it. The learning of the craft is very, very important because information is what helps you create. And finally, the third pointer. The third pointer is if you want to live the life of an artist, that is to internalize and then create, I think you have to be connected to life itself. You have to have a strong connection with what's outside and what's inside. You must be aware, you must be concentrated, you must know what's going on. Information must come your way, and that information must be churned inside. The information that life gives you is what triggers the creativity. That has been my experience. So live your life to the fullest, intelligently, in an aware manner. That'll help you as a creative artist. Thank you, Trisha, for having me on your interview. I enjoyed it, and I hope our viewers have a better knowledge of the subject of tabla and have a peek into who I am a little more than they had before this interview. Thank you. God bless. Stay safe.